MacVoices is supported by ATTO, the power behind the storage. Visit atto.com to learn more. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is a MacVoices briefing on using Pastebot with Final Cut Pro 10. Folks, this is another one of those tip/demo kind of shows that is aimed primarily at Final Cut Pro users, but you may get some ideas of your own from it, and it also gives you just another little peek behind some of the production techniques that I use for MacVoices. It will feature Final Cut Pro 10, of course, but it will also feature a clipboard utility called Pastebot that I've adopted specifically for this purpose. Now, I can't stress the value of clipboard managers sufficiently. I also use the one built into Launchbar, but Pastebot has some particular features that make it ideal for working with Final Cut in the fashion that I do. This is my MacBook Pro screen, which is where I do a lot of my editing. And as you can see, I've already launched Final Cut, and I've loaded a clip from one of the recent MacVoices gift guide shows in as part of the demo. On the right-hand side of my screen, however, is Pastebot. Now, as I said before, this is a clipboard utility, and what you're looking at now is a bunch of clips that I've put on the clipboard. When you copy something and Pastebot is turned on, it will basically store it for as long as you want, up to 1,000 clips in its database. Think about that, 1,000 clips. I only have this set to 500, and I will put a caveat in here that the more clips you store, obviously the more disk space you're taking up, because storing clips is not magic. That said, it's not a ridiculous amount of space unless you're trying to store some really large graphics or extra large video clips or whatever. So just be aware that there is that issue. That's on the right side of the Pastebot screen. In the left panel, though, you will see pasteboards, filters, and the clipboard itself. So the pasteboards are, let's call them collections of clips that you can move from the clipboard over into a pasteboard and save them if you want, if it's something you feel like you need to save, or it's something you're going to be using on a regular basis. And again, we'll get into that in a minute. But that's one of the big key features here of Pastebot that makes it so useful. So we're going to go back over here to Final Cut Pro, and I'm going to put in my usual sidebar. Instead of a lower third, I use sidebars. And I do that by doing a key combination, and I've already prepared this particular title, and there it is. I've got exactly what I want. I do that through Pastebot. And the way I do it is I create the sidebar that I want, then I copy it to the clipboard, save it, and then I can assign a key combination to drop it back into Final Cut. So let's see that in action. So I'm going to go here, and this is what you would normally do. You would normally go up here to Titles, find something that you like, and I'm going to pick this one, bring it down here. We'll drag it out a little bit so it's a little bit more obvious. And then hover over and edit the title. In this case, I'm going to do James Bond 007. So, I've customized my title. So what I would do in order to save this, I'm going to copy it. And now what I want you to do is watch the Pastebot clipboard on the right-hand side of the screen when I do. So copy, and you'll see that it copied a clipping from Final Cut Pro. Now, of course, it's not like copying text, so you really can't see what's in here. But that is the clipping. So if I take this and I'm going to drag it into FCP titles for purposes of the demo, and you'll notice here that I've got the little question mark on this side, but if I go into the FCP titles, there's my clipping, the one I just put in, but now I've got a couple other options, this one notably, that I can assign a keyboard shortcut to. So I'm going to assign, and this is not great practice, but again, just for the purposes of the demo, I'm going to assign Command N, which will mess up the Finder, but again, that's fine for the demo. Click off of it, and now and you can see now that has the little symbol has colorized, so that means there is a keyboard shortcut. But you also notice that, okay, if I start storing clippings like this, I'm not going to know what they all are. So a two-finger tap or a right click, depending on what you're using, and I can add a title to this. So I'm going to call this one James Bond. Save. And now, again, as you can see, I have the title named, I have my keyboard shortcut set, and I'm done. So if I come back over here to Final Cut Pro, I'll select another section, and I do the Command N that I've assigned it, the James Bond title pops right back in. It's that simple, but what makes this so powerful, Final Cut really doesn't allow you to do this kind of thing if you use certain elements, such as sidebars or lower thirds or titles or whatever. There's no real easy way to save the customized versions, the versions that you've filled in and tweaked to your heart's content. There is a way to do it through Motion, but that involves a pretty involved process compared to this. When I go to back over here to Pastebot, you can see that I have saved a whole lot of the clippings of sidebar titles for guests that have been on the show, in case they come back and I want to reuse them. And doesn't take up that much space, and it's kind of a big deal for me because in the sidebar titles I try to put the guest's Twitter handle, their company name, their company URL, anything that is relevant to them and to the interview. And to have those archived and saved really saves a huge amount of time when they come back, because at worst I might have to tweak it a little bit, but I don't have to go and hunt for those things all over again or re-enter them. They're all right there for me. Now again, you might say, okay, well, that's nice, and I can see how it would help your productivity, but I'm still not sure I get what the big deal is. Well, the big deal is that you can use this trick for pretty much anything that you can put on the clipboard in Final Cut Pro. So if I have a piece of video that I have color corrected or modified in some way, maybe I've applied an effect to it, maybe I've applied a transition to it, or whatever. If it can be copied in Final Cut Pro, it will go into Pastebot that way, and it can be put back then into Final Cut Pro exactly with all of that information, those transitions or whatever adjustments you've made to it, intact. And that makes this amazingly powerful when you start thinking about repetitive elements that you may use in your projects. It also improves on consistency, because you may have tweaked font sizes or colors or positions or whatever, and if you want things to line up or look exactly the way they did the last time you used that particular piece of information, this is the way to do it. So you can pretty quickly build up a library like I have here of titles, but those are just the titles. I also have production assets here for different things that I do, and it just makes life so much easier to have those there ready to be reused rather than having to recreate them every single time. Now, Pastebot can do a whole lot more, and obviously Final Cut Pro can do a whole lot more. But I wanted to show you this because if you are into video editing at all, this can potentially save you a whole lot of time and effort if you will just take the time to create your assets and save your assets, catalog your assets, and then it's a snap to put them back. And I should have said this earlier too, but you don't have to assign a key combination. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to take a recent appearance by Mike Schmitz, copy the piece, and then paste the piece back in. And once again, there's Mike Schmidt's title, exactly the way I want it. Pastebot is $12.99 and can be purchased from Tapbots either in the Mac App Store or as a direct download. And if you visit tapbots.com, you can even download a demo version to find out just how powerful it is and what it can do for you. So that's the MacVoices briefing on using Pastebots with Final Cut Pro to improve the quality and speed of your Final Cut Pro workflow. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. This edition of MacVoices is supported by ATTO Technology, the power behind the storage. For more than 30 years, ATTO Technology has been providing network and storage connectivity for Mac users. They offer the most connectivity choices for Mac OS, with a wide range of Thunderbolt and host bus adapters for high performance and low latency networked storage connectivity. No matter which Mac you use, ATTO can be trusted to provide the latest drivers and tools to meet your needs. They work with partners to deliver end-to-end solutions to better store, manage, and deliver data, your data. Network adapters, storage controllers, and more for connectivity that include Fibre Channel, SAS, SATA, iSCSI, Ethernet, and yes, Thunderbolt, are all part of what ATTO brings to the table. I've had several fans of MacVoices write me to tell me that they are using and are very, very happy with ATTO products, and they're glad to see ATTO sponsoring MacVoices. And I am too. Are you one of them? Let me know. And if you're not yet, then visit atto.com and see what they can do for you. ATTO, the power behind the storage at atto.com. That's ATTO.com. Thanks to ATTO for their support of MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.